Assalamu alaikum. We are having lecture number 21 of Pakistan Studies. The topic under discussion is the 1973 Constitution. We will discuss this under three headings. 1. Background. Second, Constitution making. Third, the major features of the 1973 Constitution. We will start with the first part, that is background. You would recall that lecture number 20 was focused on the 1962 Constitution. Towards the end of that lecture, we talked about the working of the 1962 Constitution very briefly. And we said that this 1962 Constitution lasted until 25th March 1969. On that day, that is March 25th, 1969, President Ayub Khan resigned from his office and handed over power to General Agha Muhammad Yahya Khan, the then Commander-in-Chief of the Pakistan Army, who assumed power and abrogated the 1962 Constitution. Martial law was declared in Pakistan and he became the Chief Martial Law Administrator. The military government of General Yahya Khan lasted from March 25th, 1969 to December 20th, 1971. On that day, that is December 20th, 1971, Yahya Khan resigned and handed over power to Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, who was the leader of the People's Party at that time. When power was transferred to Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, there was no constitution functioning in the country. Country was under martial law, and martial law could not be withdrawn because there was no functioning constitution. Therefore, martial law continued, and the National Assembly of Pakistan deliberated on constitution making and framed an interim constitution. This interim constitution was enforced on 21st April 1972. Sometime this interim constitution is described as the 1972 interim constitution. When this was enforced, martial law came to an end, and this constitution, the 72 interim constitution, took its place. Now we talk about constitution making. Once the interim constitution was implemented, the National Assembly then paid attention to framing a regular constitution for Pakistan. And in order to achieve this objective, the National Assembly established a committee called the Constitution Committee, which provided representation to all political parties represented in the National Assembly. And this committee was headed by the Federal Law Minister. While this committee was deliberating on the future constitution of Pakistan, the major political parties agreed in October 1972 on the basic principles of the new constitution. They agreed in principle that the new constitution would reflect certain principles. This facilitated the job of the Constitution Committee. This made it easy for the Constitution Committee to prepare a report. And this report was submitted to the National Assembly of Pakistan on December 31st, 1972, the last day of 1972. The National Assembly of Pakistan debated the report. The issues of constitution making were discussed and debated not only in the National Assembly, but outside of National Assembly, in the press, on political platforms, on other platforms. People were expressing and discussing the type of constitution Pakistan should have. And naturally, the framers of constitution benefited from the debate that was going on in Pakistan during that time. But there was a thorough discussion of the constitution in the National Assembly of Pakistan. On 10th April 1973, the National Assembly of Pakistan adopted a new constitution for Pakistan. All major political parties endorsed this constitution, and all the members present in the National Assembly voted in favor of the constitution. There was no negative vote for this constitution. That is why 73 constitution, or this constitution that we are discussing, is described as the unanimous constitution which was accepted in 1973 by all major political parties, by all major political groups. So it was unanimously passed by the members of the National Assembly present on that day, which is a distinguishing feature of this constitution. 1956 constitution was not unanimously approved, but 73 constitution was unanimously approved. This constitution was enforced on 14th August 1973. That is why it is called the 1973 Constitution. If you look at the document of the Constitution, their word 73 is not used. It is the Constitution of Islamic Republic of Pakistan, and since it was passed and introduced in 1973, we all describe this as the 1973 Constitution. Since then, this has been the Constitution of Pakistan, although it was suspended during this period for some time. It was suspended, changes were made in it, and then revived. Let me now give you the dates for these developments regarding the 1973 Constitution. 1973 to 1977, this Constitution functioned as approved by the National Assembly of Pakistan. Of course, every constitution provides for constitutional amendments, and constitutional amendments are always made, and these were made during this period, that is, from 1973 to 1977. Then the period is 1977 to 1985. During this period, Constitution was suspended because Pakistan was under military rule. In 1985, the Constitution was revived with a number of changes in it. From 1985 to 1999, the Constitution operated, it functioned with the changes that were made in 1985. The next phase is 1999 to 2002. During this period, Constitution was again suspended because Pakistan was again under military rule. In year 2002, this Constitution was revived with changes in it, changes that were made in the Constitution before it was revived, and again from 2002 the Constitution became functional and operational. So we could say that this has been, that is, the 1973 Constitution has been the Constitution of Pakistan for the last so many years, although there have been major changes in the Constitution and there have been periods of suspension or what is often described as held in abeyance. Now we move on to the third and the major part of this lecture, that is the general features and general characteristics of the Constitution, the type of political system this Constitution established. While discussing the features of the Constitution, I will be also mentioning the changes that were made in the Constitution over the years, so that you have an idea of how things have changed over a period of time. The first feature of the 1973 Constitution is the parliamentary system of government. Under this Constitution, Pakistan went back to the parliamentary system of government. You would recall that the 56th Constitution had parliamentary system of government. Then in 1962, when new Constitution was introduced, Pakistan adopted presidential system of government. And now in 1973, the 1973 Constitution provided for parliamentary system of government. Under this system, originally the Constitution provided for a very powerful Prime Minister as head of the government, who was working with a weak president. For all practical purposes, the executive authority was exercised by the Prime Minister, because the President was to act on the advice of the Prime Minister. His orders, that is the orders of the President, could not be effective until countersigned by the Prime Minister. So for all practical purposes, under the original 1973 Constitution, that is the Constitution as it was introduced in August 1973, the President was really a ceremonial head of state who had very limited powers at his disposal. For most of his action, he was dependent on the Prime Minister. For example, the President could not dissolve the National Assembly unless recommended by the Prime Minister. The selection of the Prime Minister was given to the National Assembly. National Assembly, under the 1973 Constitution, elects the leader of the House by majority vote. And that leader of the House is called upon by the President to assume the office of Prime Minister. In this respect, there is no discretion with the President. Whosoever is elected by the National Assembly will become the Prime Minister ultimately. And he, that is the Prime Minister, exercised all executive powers, but he was answerable and responsible to the National Assembly. In the original 1973 Constitution, the removal of the Prime Minister by a vote of no confidence was a difficult process. And Prime Minister could wield lot of authority and lot of power. In 1985, number of changes were made in the Constitution, whereby some discretionary power was given to the President. That is, for each and every order, he was not dependent on the signature of the Prime Minister. He was given discretionary powers, powers to make certain appointments, and also power to dissolve National Assembly in his discretion. And this strengthened the position of the President. President also had the power to sign a bill passed by the National Assembly or return the bill to the National Assembly, the standard procedure or standard power which is there with the president in a parliamentary system of government. So since 1985, president has exercised some discretionary powers which was non-existent under the original 1973 constitution. A president has to be of 45 years of age or more. He should be a Muslim citizen of Pakistan and qualified to be member of the National Assembly. When you say qualified to be member of the National Assembly, this means that he would be registered as a voter somewhere in the country. President is elected by the parliament, that is the two houses of parliament, and the provincial assembly. So you could say that the parliament and provincial assemblies constitute the electoral college for electing the president through a procedure which is laid down in the constitution. So whenever election commission holds the presidential election, the procedure laid down in the constitution will be followed, and that would be election through the electoral college. Next important feature of the 1973 constitution is a parliament with two houses. This was a new feature in the constitutional history of Pakistan. In the previous cases, that is 1956 constitution and 1962 constitution, Pakistan had one house parliament, National Assembly, one house parliament. But now, under the 1973 constitution, two houses were established, or what is often described as bicameral legislature. Bicameral legislature means a legislature with two houses. So this was a new feature added to the 1973 constitution. The upper house was called the Senate. In the case of Senate, all provinces of Pakistan are given equal representation. Equal number of seats are allocated to the 4 provinces of Pakistan. In addition to this, Senate also provides representation to the federal capital, that is Islamabad, the federally administered tribal areas. Now there are seats for women and technocrats. The strength of the Senate, that is the total membership of Senate, has varied over time. When the Constitution was framed in 1973, the Senate had 63 members. In 85, it was raised to 87, but principle of equal representation to all provinces was kept intact. and the Senate in year 2003 has 100 members. So when Constitution was revived in year 2002, the Senate strength has been raised to 100, and this is what is the position of the Senate today. Senate is elected indirectly by the provincial assemblies and also through the National Assembly following the procedures given in the Constitution. This House, that is Senate, the upper house, remains operational all the time. One half of its members retire after every 3 years. So the first half would retire after 3 years. You will have new members to that seats. Then after another 3 years, the remainder half would retire, and there will be election to replace them. So in this way, half of the House is changed after every 3 years, and in this way, Senate remains operational and functional all the time. Now we move on to the second house, what is called the lower house, the National Assembly. The principle of organization of National Assembly is representation on the basis of population. Provinces are given representation on the basis of their population. So a province having more population will have more representation. If a province has less population, it will have less representation. A National Assembly represents the people. The upper house represents the federating units in a federal system of government. In case of the National Assembly, its original strength, that is strength when it was set up in 1973, was 210. 200 general, 10 women seats. Now the Assembly elected in year 2002 has more members. It has 342 members. Because population has increased and there was need of providing more representation to people, therefore the National Assembly that got elected in October 2002 has the strength of 342 members. This includes general seats, then women seats, minorities, and all these put together make 342 seats. The National Assembly is elected directly by the votes of the people. And for the general elections held in year 2002, the voting age was reduced from 21 years to 18. So for the first time a large number of young people, college going and university going people, had the right to vote, because the voting age has been reduced from 21 to 18, which is a significant change, and it has enlarged the electorate. That is, the people who have right to vote. The Parliament, under the 1973 Constitution, is a powerful legislative body. It has legislative powers, control over executive, that is, Prime Minister and his or her cabinet are answerable and responsible to the lower house of the Parliament, that is the National Assembly, and it can also raise issues with the government through different procedures provided for in the two houses of Parliament, like asking questions, moving resolutions, adjournment motions, participation in debates on lawmaking, or raising other points from time to time. So in this way, the Parliament can, control the executive, because executive, that is Prime Minister, must have the confidence of the National Assembly. Similarly, it has sufficient financial powers, that is control over the national budget. However, the National Assembly, that is the lower house, has more powers than the upper house, which is Senate. Just two examples. So far as budget is concerned, the National Assembly has overriding power. Budget is passed by the National Assembly, although it is communicated to the Senate. The Prime Minister and the Cabinet are responsible to the lower house, that is, Prime Minister is elected by the National Assembly, and only National Assembly can vote the Prime Minister out of office. Although Prime Minister goes to the upper house, he addresses the upper house, and some members of the Senate are also taken in the Cabinet. Because of these two powers, National Assembly has precedence over the Senate, although Senate is equally important in the process of law making and providing for ventilation of grievances of the people of Pakistan. The next feature pertains to the federal character of the Constitution. Like all the previous constitutions, this Constitution has also set up a federal system in Pakistan. But under this Constitution, there are 4 provinces of Pakistan: province of Punjab, Sindh, Frontier, and Balochistan, in addition to federal capital and federally administered tribal areas. There are 2 lists of subjects. One, Federalist, that provides for the powers reserved for the federal government, or you could say for which the Parliament legislates. The second is the concurrent list, the concurrent list is available to the federal system as well as to the provinces. Both can make laws. That is, the parliament as well as provincial assemblies can make laws. But the federal laws have precedence over provincial laws. In a system of federalism, division of power between center and provinces through constitution holds key. It's an important characteristic of a federal system which is provided in the constitution, and rest of the powers which are neither in the federal nor in concurrent become the exclusive domain of the provinces. At the provincial level, there is a governor who is appointed by the president on the advice of the prime minister. However, the executive authority is exercised by the chief minister. The chief minister is elected by the provincial assembly. Provincial assembly elect by a majority vote leader of the house, and then that elected leader of house is invited by the governor to form provincial government. The chief minister and chief minister's cabinet are responsible to the provincial assembly. That is to say, that provincial assembly can remove a chief minister by passing a vote of no confidence by majority of its members. 4 provincial assemblies in Pakistan are directly elected by the people. The size of these assemblies has varied. Bigger province has a bigger assembly, smaller province has smaller number of members to its assembly. So far as the elections in 2002 is concerned, the membership of the provincial assemblies was Punjab 371 members, Sindh 168, Northwest Frontier Province 124, Balochistan 65 members. The Constitution has provided provincial autonomy to the provinces. However, center has certain overriding powers, emergency powers, or if the provincial government cannot function smoothly in accordance with the provisions of the Constitution, the center can take over provincial administration through governor, or it can direct the governor to assume the responsibility of the province. This gives an upper hand to the federal government. But nevertheless, it's a federal system. It divides powers between center and provinces. It gives autonomy to the provinces. The balance may be tilted in favor of the federal government. Another important feature is the principle of policy in the Constitution. These principles of policy are not really very different from the principles of policy in 1962 Constitution or the directive principles in the 1956 Constitution. The basic idea of principles of policy is to provide certain guidelines to the policy makers and to identify certain goals that have to be kept in mind while making policies. So in this case, like the previous constitution, the principles of policies have emphasized the need of equality, social justice, Islamic way of life, opportunities for education and opportunities for taking part in national life, and so on. But these guidelines are important. The next feature of the Constitution is the fundamental rights. Fundamental rights are extremely important for any democratic system. Through fundamental rights, Constitution guarantees certain civil and political rights, civil and political freedoms to its citizens, without which democratic constitution cannot function. And these are the general principles through which you could, that is, the citizens could develop their natural capacities, freedom to organize themselves, freedom of press, expression, organization, security against arbitrary action, and so on, so forth. And these rights are given in the Constitution. And all these rights given in the Constitution are justiciable. Justiciable means that these rights can be invoked in a court of law. A citizen can question a government action, a government order on the ground that fundamental rights have been violated. However, the state can suspend fundamental rights under circumstances, conditions enumerated in the Constitution. That is, if state of emergency is declared, fundamental rights can be suspended. Next feature is the Islamic character of the Constitution. That you can see if you look at the title of the state, which is, like all previous constitutions, the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. The preamble of the Constitution derives its text from the Objectives Resolution, which gives an Islamic character to the polity, emphasizing sovereignty belonging to Almighty Allah. In addition to the preamble, you can look at the principles of policy. One principle emphasizes that the state would create conditions to enable Muslims to organize their lives in accordance with the teachings and principles of Islam. There is another principle that emphasizes that Pakistan would build close and friendly relations with the Muslim states. In 1985, Article 2A was inserted in the Constitution to make the objective resolution an integral part of the Constitution. In this Constitution, Islam has been described as the state religion. No such provision existed in the 1956 and 1962 constitutions. Through an amendment in 1974, Constitution also defines what is a Muslim, or what makes a person Muslim, or definition of Muslim is given in the Constitution. There is a council for Islamic ideology to help the government to keep the state laws in conformity with the Islamic principles and teaching. But like the Islamic Ideology Council under 1962 Constitution, this is an advisory body. There is another institution set up in 1981, that is the Federal Shariat Court. Another important feature is the national language. This provides that Urdu would be the national language of Pakistan. However, English can be used at the official level until arrangements are made for shifting from English to Urdu. In addition to this, Constitution provides that a provincial assembly may decide about or prescribe measures for teaching, promotion, and use of a provincial language in addition to the national language. That is, in addition to Urdu, the provincial assembly can decide about the use of any provincial language it wants. Another feature added to the Constitution in 2002 is the National Security Council, which provides for representation of the top civil and military officers and policy makers, but this body is an advisory body. It can advise, it can offer its opinion, but it doesn't have overriding constitutional power beyond giving advice. These were the major features of the 1973 Constitution, which is operational in Pakistan. It has provided for a democratic system, parliamentary governance, and a federal system with a strong emphasis on the Islamic character and Islamic identity of Pakistan and Pakistani polity. This brings to an end our discussion of the 1973 Constitution. Khuda Hafiz until we meet again.